Good morning, folks. This is Uche and Joku, Sneaker Principal, and welcome to this episode of the Sneaker Principal Podcast. I'm coming to you from my kitchen, from a different angle, and it's time to make some coffee. So, yeah, for those of you who don't know, I am recording content every day for the next 149 days. The original commitment that I made to myself was to create content definitely from January 1st all the way through June 30th of 2025. This came about because a friend of mine challenged me saying that I should commit to creating content and see where this goes every day. And the math is that if I did everything, if I could create it every day from January 1st to June 30th, that would be 181 pieces of content, 181 podcast episodes that I created in that time frame. So I said, you know what? I think it's a great idea. I need to commit to something. It's been a while since I did something like this. Honestly, if ever, really. And that's what I'm doing now. So I believe this is going to be my 33rd episode or 34th. I'm not sure. I should know because I look at the number every single day. Let me check. If you hear that weird sound, it's my kettle boiling for my hot water for the coffee. Today I'm doing my manual coffee versus using the coffee press. But it's all good. The coffee press is in the sink and it's not quite washed out. So let me see here. Oh yeah, it might be a little bit more than that. So 33rd post was this morning, and then 34th is still in the camera. So I did one yesterday. I did another episode yesterday before I left work. So this will be the 35th episode when it's posted. Yeah. I just have to make sure to post things in order. Sometimes I have a tendency of recording multiple times in a day, which is always the benefit. Because when I record multiple times in a day, what ends up happening is technically I need to post something every single day. I think it's only been one day where I didn't post something, but I really had not post. I didn't record something I did record something. What happened was that video got corrupted, so I wasn't able to use it. But I had other videos that I had already corrected that hadn't been posted yet, so it kept me in the same pace. Some of you listening to this might think, okay, well, this is nonsense. You're not 25. You're 48 years old. What are you doing creating content like this? A big part of doing this is me truly understanding this new world we live in of content creation. It's nothing new at this point in time, but it's a reality that so many of us avoid really embracing and trying to understand. We still believe that content creation and YouTubing and TikToking and Instagram and all this other stuff is for young people. But the thing is this, defining young people, because I would dare to say that these spaces, these tools are tools that are grounding us in this new reality. That technology and our manipulation of technology is cannot be ignored. You can't go into the world right now and say, I'm going to do this profession or that profession, do this kind of work, and not be engaged in social media in some capacity. There's very little you can do these days that doesn't require you being comfortable in front of a camera, whether it's your FaceTime camera on your iPhone or on on Zoom, when you're conference calling, because now it's no longer about just making phone calls. There are times where you have to be in front of a camera, even though you might not consider being on Zoom or Google Meets or any kind of virtual reality situation as being on camera, but you are. People are watching you. It might be synchronous or asynchronous. It might be live, or it might be something that you're doing, then putting out there later on. But it's a reality that you have to face, that you have to be comfortable with. But not only that, being able to share your thoughts, and people might say, "Who cares about what you think?" But you'd be surprised. There's so many people out there who've inspired me, just from their videos. Everything from the inspiration of saying, "Oh, I think I can create content as well." The inspiration of, "Wait a minute, you don't have to be, 17-year-old TikToker. You can be a 40-year-old, 50-year-old, 60-year-old content creator, show host, content producer, just from the comfort of your home, shooting on your smartphone or an old GoPro." There's all these things you can do that once upon a time was relegated to those who had the power and the money to have a studio and do all these other things. But now, this whole entire thing has been democratized. If you have a camera, any sort of camera or any kind of recording device, you can create content, and that's something that I think is amazing. I'll even go as far as saying that the modern day civil rights issue has to do with access to the internet and access to information. And not just access to information, access to the ability to create information. Because the world is moving in a very different way. And if we're not careful, we'll wake up and be lost in it. One of the things that I tell my students all the time, and I tell other educators, for those of you who don't know, I am a middle school principal. Presently, I've been a public school building leader for almost a decade now. Also having been an assistant principal and a dean, and been in other roles over the course of well over 20 years, with 20 of those years being here in New York City. One thing that I say is that we keep wanting our kids or our students, the communities that we serve, the families, to have a very clear vision of the future based on having a good education, knowing how to read and write, having basic foundational mathematical skills, having critical thinking skills, being well-spoken, being able to navigate the world. We want this for our students, but one thing that we're not fully embracing is the consumer nature of their existence, the consumerism nature. Whether it's physical products or digital content, we consume so much. And when I say we, people of color in this country, Black people, and I'll even throw in brown people in there, we consume so much content. We watch so much video, and we also, and not just for entertainment, a lot of times it's also for learning. The number of times that I've been had to do something, fill out a form or apply for something, and I'll go on YouTube and Google it and see if anybody has said anything about it. And if I can find multiple people, I'll watch all those videos and say, okay, I have a better understanding on how to do this thing, how to build this thing, how to fix this thing, how to manipulate this thing. And I consume and I consume and I consume. But however, we don't create. Not to say there aren't people of color in these spaces creating, but if you look at the statistics, the number of how much we consume versus how much we create, especially seeing that the ability to create has been democratized, um, meaning that anyone can create, anyone can upload. It's free as long as you have the equipment. And if you have a phone, that of course it's not free, but if you have a phone, because most of us have phones because we have to be able to communicate with each other in the world. It's also how we get the information that we consume. You have a camera on there. If 2025, my iPhone has AI capabilities, which means I can ask AI with the help of ChatGPT to help me come up with an idea for content I can create based on what I love and what I appreciate, and then I can have that same artificial intelligence help me script an episode that I can use as a guide to create that content. Oh, coffee. And then next thing you know, I can edit it right on my phone. And I don't even have to edit. Like, for those of you who follow me, I mean, most of my videos are unedited. Yes, there are those where camera switch, and what I'm using is a camera switcher, and you record on multiple cameras, and those I do have to edit. But the amount of time it takes leaves such a sour taste in my mouth. So what I do is, if I am in my studio and I'm recording, I will switch cameras and 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 try to anticipate the effect that I want to give. And I just push a button right in front of me, switching cameras. I don't go back to kind of like edit, that create those clean cuts, because I believe for me it's less about the visuals and it's much more about the message. And I know that I have built up pretty good quality um, equipment to capture my video in the way that I want to be captured, so I can get the right colors, the right lighting, the right mood. So I don't have to worry about that as much. So I can record from beginning to end, and most times post it like that. Sometimes if I want to be fancy, I'll upload that piece of content into Final Cut Pro and snip out the first couple of seconds of the video where I'm doing switch, where I'm pushing the record button, then stepping back to position myself. So I'll cut out the portion so I can start from like position like this, talking, so you don't see that part. Or the end when I say, thank you so much, till next time, and I have to reach out to do this. So I'll cut out that portion, just stop it till next time. And I'll just edit that portion out, and that's it. I upload it. I might adjust the sound just to make sure the sounds good. But that whole entire process takes less than 2-3 minutes. 5 minutes, let's be honest, about 5 minutes. Then I will, I will then download the video, process it so that I can upload it to YouTube. And the processing portion of it might take a few minutes. It means I could go walk away, shower, watch TV, do some work, come back, it's done, upload. And the upload itself doesn't take that long. Probably about some amount of time, depending on how big the video is. And then it goes up to YouTube. And then at some point in time, I'll edit it. I'll edit the description, and I'll put a title on there. I'll put some tags on there, and I'll put it into the right folder, and then I'll save it. And then maybe another 15, 20, 30 minutes, depending on how long the video is up. But that waiting time means I get to walk away. And when I come back to it, whatever I have to do to manipulate for that stage doesn't take that much time at all. It's like a pause, rest pause, with everything else that I'm doing. But that's why I'm able to post every day, because the process, my workflow is pretty simple. But I digress, though. I say all this to say that school leaders, this is the way we need to be training our kids. We need to create spaces like that for them to create content. We need for them to understand what it sounds like. It's not just about internet safety, which is essential. It's also about them understanding the policies, the processes, and what does this all mean? What does it mean to say, hey, I love basketball, so I'm going to start a creating a podcast where I could talk about basketball as a 13, 14, 15-year-old, of course with parental supervision, but I'm creating content and I'm becoming an expert in these things, because you start now at 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. By the time you're 25, 30 years old, and you've been there for that long, you're more than likely one of the top experts in the world around that particular thing. And not only that, that content exists so people can, could access it and listen to it, and then say, yes, I like to listen to this person. I don't care how old they are. I don't care what race they are. It's just that they give good information and I'm learning from them, or I'm being entertained by them. And before you know it, you have a following, a couple of thousands, maybe a couple of million, depending. And a lot of that has to do with the amount of work you put into it. And before you know it, you might be getting brand sponsorships. You might be having people who are just donating to your cause because they believe in what you're doing. And talk about starting your career early. One of my favorite content creators, Ali, I think that's his first name. He was a medical student in London, and that's when he started his content creation. Well, I think it was while he was a medical student, or he was applying to medical school, but he was helping people pass their board exams, or their version of the MCATs, which is the exam you have to take to go to medical school. So he was helping people on how to study for that test. But it turned into going, vlogging about his experience getting to medical school, going to medical school, becoming a doctor. So you're following him through years of this process, and before you know it, he's no longer a doctor. I mean, he's still a doctor licensed, but he's no longer practicing medicine, because his work around productivity, and that's what it really was, became he became one of the biggest influences in that space. And before you knew it, we're talking about a full production team, and he's doing it for people, and people are paying him a lot of money, and he's getting a lot of ad revenue because of the fact of what he does. But he had so many eyeballs on him that the doctor became a content creator. But also imagine what would have happened what would happen if he decided to stay fully in medicine and use the content that he creates to attract more people. He probably could have one of the biggest practices in London, or in the world, because of the fan base. But either way, understanding that space, understanding algorithm, understanding technology, understanding how to record it, understand how to edit, all these things that you can do for fun can be very lucrative. And school leaders, these are professions and entrepreneurial endeavors that we need to make sure our kids understand. So again, they don't get left behind. This is for some people, this is the Wild Wild West. For others, this is the evolution in humanity that we're eyewitnessing, and not only that, the barrier to entry is very little. In my opinion, if there is a barrier to entry at all, the most important thing is we can't, because of our fears, our ignorance, our not having enough knowledge, say that we don't do this, we should not do this. I'm sorry, I had to kill a gnat. Sorry, gnat. We cannot say that that we have to wait, because that's what happens almost every time we wait, and before you know it, now we're pushing curriculum around something that is now long gone, or it's so advanced now that in the early stages of adaptation we weren't part of it. And so we have to find ways to become understanding of these spaces, and maybe that's what I'm doing. But by me being a practitioner, by me being a content creator, by me, manipulate, by me making my mistakes, by me, doing these crazy, okay, I'm going to do for the next 181 days. And it's going to be actually more than 181 days, because I started 13 days earlier. This challenge was brought to me mid-December. And I started, I think, like the next day. And by the time I got to January 1st, I think it was like day 14 or something like that. And here I am now. But again, I'm doing this because this is a way for me to truly truly make sense of all this, and also understand what is life like, in this technology integrated world we live in now, and what are the potentials of it. And that's what I'm doing here. One of the things I'm adding to this journey of mine, is I also want to inspire other leaders, school leaders, other people to create content as well. Talk about what you know, and don't be afraid of sounding stupid or not sounding professional as far as your ability to speak clearly in the camera. Because I can tell you this, my earlier videos, earlier, a couple years back, because I've been doing this for a while, off and on. I'm telling you, if I told you the number of times I would hit record just to get one video, I mean, there are times I've done like 10, 15 times to record, stop, because I stumbled, I was nervous, I got stuck, and I was trying to script versus just speaking from my mind, speaking from my heart, speaking my truth, and honestly not caring about what people will say, because at the end of the day, I can't please all damn near 8 billion people on this planet. All I gotta do is catch one person's attention, one person who's willing to be a fan, who might now share my content with other people, and go from there. But yeah, I say this to you colleagues, or anyone who's watching, jump into this space, immerse yourself in this space, create content, understand it, and the best part about it could be about anything you want. If you're lucky enough, that thing that you're creating content around might become a side hustle for you. It might become a point of revenue that you didn't expect, whether it's financial or emotional or whatever it may be. This is a way to do it. All right, I'm starting to ramble. So let me do this. Call to action. Create something. Create one post. Create something, and not just take a picture of yourself, post it on Instagram. No, take your phone, if that's all you have. And I'm sorry, the phones are insanely amazing. Post your phone on a book or something like that, and just say hello, and share your thoughts for today. Do one video journal entry. Do a vlog. Good morning, my name is so-and-so, and I want to tell you about my day. Good evening, let me tell you about my day. Let me tell you about this thought that I have. Let me tell you about how I feel about this. Let me tell you about my favorite cigar. Let me tell you about, and just talk. And if you're able to do it freestyle, like I tend to do, great. If you want to script it, then script it. And just just flow with it. You don't have to edit it. If you want to edit it on your phone, both Android and Apple has amazing software you can download. Apple has iMovie, which is incredible. You can really on your phone just edit your video before you post it. Or you can be like me, just post it. Just post it. Somebody said that your worst video is usually your first video, or your first 100 videos are your worst videos. And I agree with that. Your first 100 videos are your worst videos, and not necessarily because the quality of the video, but usually because of your own, fears, your own oh my God, this sounds like your own inability to hear your own voice, to look at yourself. Once you get over that, it's pretty easy sailing. So create, and not only that, find a way to have I'm good. I have all these gnats because of my plants, and it's better than it used to be. But if anyone has any ideas on how to permanently stop or end these gnats, that would be great. But at one point in time, it was bad, and now it's 90% better. But they're still here. But I need my plants. But the plants is what purifies the air in my spaces, and kind of humidifies the room. So, okay, plants. I'm sorry. Again, I digress. It's early in the morning, and my brain is everywhere. But I was saying, your kids, your students, create spaces for them to do so. In my school, I have introduced digital design, where kids are creating graphics, and they're understanding how the visual art can be utilized to create and make some amazing things. And visual arts is content. I also teach them audio, how to make music, digital music, how to create um, audio content. So whether it's podcasting or things of that nature. Then the other thing too is video. Video and photography, the moving, the still images of life, but also the moving images of life as well. Then being able to create documentaries, short films, whatever the case is. These are all facets of digital content creation that I'm creating spaces for my kids at my school. Um, I want all of them to be exposed to it, but eventually I want um, them to understand how these things connect to potential career fields. So whether you want to be a nurse, a doctor, a lawyer, you want to be a real estate mogul, how does digital communications play into that space in a very real way? And this is what I'm doing here, and I'm challenging you to consider, how do you bring these spaces into your school environment? Or if you're watching this as a parent, how do you help your child start to understand this, and how do you yourself also start to understand, utilize, integrate digital communications, content creation into your life? All right, Uche Joku, Sneaker Principal, thank you so much for your time, and I'll talk to you soon. Be well.